What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. We have another e-bike to review for you guys. This is gonna be a banger of a video, and I probably didn't say that as good as David Brand New does, but I watched his video because he also reviewed this bike before I did, and I want to see what his opinion is because I really respect the guy on YouTube, and he said he liked it. So I have high expectations for this bike. Now this bike is called the HIBOY. I'm just kidding, but it is called the HIBOY. This is the P6. They also have a P7 model, which is slightly cheaper than this one, but this is just still over $1,000, just right over $1,000 using my coupon code and the link down in the description. This is a very big bike. These are 26-inch tires, 4 inches wide. You have a Bafang motor in the back, which I love Bafang motors. This is a 750 watt motor, a peak of 960 watts, almost 1,000, 48 volt system, 13 amp hour battery. I understand that's not that big of a capacity of a battery, but they say 60 miles of range with the lowest pedal assist. And if you're roughly around 143 pounds, you get about 25 to 30 miles of range in the highest setting. I'm pretty sure that's what they said. So I'm expecting at least 20 to 25 miles of range. I'm 165 pounds. Real quick, I will sit on the bike to show you guys how it looks for me. Now you do have some adjustability in the seat, so it can go down this much more, and you could also put it like super high. So this is kind of comfortable for me. I can put my feet on the ground. I might lower it just ever so slightly, but this is kind of how it looks for me. I'm 5'10", not too bad, right? You got Sur-Ron-like style handlebars. They're very flat, like downhill style. You have a half twist throttle right here. You do have a small chain ring, but I will say you have a 9-speed on this bike, which is very impressive. So I'm really curious to see how it's gonna feel when we're pedaling it out there on the road. You do have a headlight on the front, dedicated headlight button right here. You have a horn also that's connected to the headlight. I'm expecting it to not be very loud, to be honest, because it's a very small headlight, but we'll just see how it is. Suspension in the front, no suspension in the back, no rear tail light as well, so you're gonna have to figure out something if you're gonna ride at night so people can see you when they're driving behind you. Other than that, I say we just get on the way and let's just ride this bike. Let's see how it is, and I'll talk about more of it as we're just kind of riding around. All right, so we're on the P6 HIBOY. The HIBOY. I'm trying to do a top speed run right now to see how fast this bike goes. We got a full charge on it. And I will say, before I even started riding this on a main street, holy crap, does this thing take off for a 750 watt motor. I'm telling you guys, these Bafang motors are fantastic. I love them. And real quick, so it won't go past 28 miles an hour. So let's see how that does with GPS. All right, so it took me a while to get this app to work. For some reason, it was messed up. But if you guys can see that on the display, 27.5 miles per hour. And this was saying about 28.5. So it's off 1 mile per hour, which is not bad. That's pretty accurate if you ask me. So at least we know when we're going like 28 miles an hour, we're roughly doing almost 28 miles an hour. It's pretty much there. So let's get on our way and continue. Another thing I noticed when getting on this bike, first thing is, when you start going over 25 miles an hour, these tires make a lot of noise. I don't know if you guys are gonna be able to hear that over the GoPro because the way my microphone's set up, I have it so it blocks out a lot of like ambient noise. But these tires are very loud. I'm hearing the tires more than I hear the motor. But it's not a deal breaker or anything like that. I do have a full face helmet on, so my ears are kind of blocked off a little bit, but it is a lot louder than most e-bike tires that I've been on. One thing that I'm not a fan of right off the bat is how close this shifter is to my thumb. So if you guys can see how I'm using the throttle, because it's a half twist throttle, my thumb is coming in contact with this. So I feel like what I need to do is I need to slide all this stuff over just ever so slightly because I don't like how close it is. It keeps digging into my thumb right here. Now the next thing I'm noticing is it's a nice comfortable ride, don't get me wrong. I'm enjoying it so far, not too bad, but I don't like the seat. This seat is not the best. It's really hurting me right now. And I've barely been on the bike for 3 miles. Well, we got the coppers out. I'm not supposed to be going over 20 miles an hour without pedaling. Let me start pedaling. Go. That's one good thing about this bike though. It's not like a cafe racer motorcycle looking. It's a standard like e-bike. So they're never gonna, they didn't even look at me. They didn't even bother to look to see what I was on. Yeah, this is just your typical big fat tire mountain bike e-bike. They're not gonna say nothing around here. So you don't have to worry about going on like bike trails or being like where people are gonna be walking and stuff like that. You're not gonna bother anybody. No one's gonna say anything. All right, you already know what we do at this test right here. We got some people in front of us, so we gotta be careful. So Right here is where I do full throttle all the way to the next street, and we're gonna see how fast we go. I'm gonna be saying how fast we're going if you guys can't read the display, and how it feels getting up to speed. Then the next section, we're gonna be using pedals only and see how that works. So, and we'll be doing the shifter as well. So here we go, 1, 2, 3, throttle only. Man, this thing picks up fast. 15 miles an hour, 18, 20, 22, 24, 25, 26, 27. There we go. I'm telling you, man, this bike is moving. It's very fast out of the gate from like 0 to 10 miles an hour. This thing is like moving. All right, let me go through the gears. Let's drop it down to 1. All right, so pedals only right now, and we're gonna go through the gear shifter. So we're on 1 right now. Let's go, 1, 2, 3. Oh, there we go. It wasn't in the right gear. All right. Again, no throttle, just pedals only, 20 miles an hour. I didn't even feel anything shift gears. Like maybe the first like 2 gears I felt. After that, it felt like butter. I didn't even know they were like switching gears in it. I thought I was just clicking it doing nothing, but it was actually still going up. Because you got 9 gears on this bad boy. 28, 29 miles an hour. It's going faster pedaling. It almost hit 30 miles an hour. I saw 29.6. That's not bad. I will say it's not bad. The takeoff speed is what I'm so enjoying on this bike. Like from the get-go, it is not slow whatsoever. So if you need to get across the street and not have people waiting for you at like a 4-way stop, this thing jams out. I love it. All right, let's stop right here. Let's check out the bike. See how it looks. You can't go wrong. Just flat black with a little bit of, well, there's a lot of yellow on it because they put so many stickers. Like there's a warning sticker here, a warning sticker here. There's one down here on the shock as well. And I think, oh, there's one right here. And I think there's another one on this side. Yeah, there's one right here. How many do you guys have to put on this bike? So every time you take these off, the sticky residue is still behind. So you got to get Goo Gone, or you got to get something to take that off, like alcohol. So that's a pain in the ass. I don't really feel like they need to put all that stuff. All they need to do is put it in the manual. People can read the manual. It's perfectly fine. Maybe just put just one. Just put that or something. Just one on the battery. That's it. But it is nice color. It's just flat black with a white logo on it. This is non-removable. You can't take this off, so you can't scratch it off and put your own logo if you want. I think that would have been a nice touch if they would have done that, but I understand they're trying to, promote the bike. So to each their own, I would have liked to seen it removable because I would have liked to put my big old logo on there. It would have been perfect. Integrated battery, obviously, so it looks nice and flush. It's not sitting on the top. It's not a slide-in rail or anything like that, so it just fits right in there. I like that. Big fat tires like we said, but I'm not a big fan of these tires. These are the tires that go flat instantly. So you have a lot of like traction right here, but right in between here, these are just thin. You can literally get like a thumbtack and just barely like push it in. It will pop it. It will be done. Right now I have these aired up to about 17 PSI. I think the front is 16 PSI. And it feels good. It feels nice and comfortable. Suspension's working pretty good. But I think we're gonna test out the suspension on this dirt track that we always do first. Before we do that, let's go up this hill going kind of slow. Then we'll take it a little faster. Let's see how it actually does coming up this hill if you don't have any like running start at it. Let's just start at the bottom, then we'll do it with a running start. Then we'll see how this bike is off in the dirt. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, go. Oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Like, of course it was gonna struggle kind of getting up that a little bit, but it still went up that, no problem. So if you got hills in your area, obviously you're gonna be going at a lower speed getting up the hill, but that was fantastic. It went up that, no problem. Now let me do it with a running start, even though, it already made it up to begin with. But you'll see that. If you just get a running start at it, we'll get a little bit faster and you'll get up anything. Here we go. Woo! Hey! Now something I'm noticing on this bike is, since we have front suspension, it feels nice in the hands. Like it's taking all the vibration out of my hands. I don't feel anything. My upper body is fine as well, but my lower body is like getting jacked up because there's no rear suspension, and the seat that I'm sitting on is just not comfortable. I would definitely think about going to like a Cloud 9 seat or something like that because I do not like how this style of seat is for me anyways. It's just not fitting me very well. Maybe if you're a slightly smaller person with a smaller butt or something, I don't know, maybe you'll have a better time on it, but I'm just feeling all the vibration and all the jarriness in the rear. Off-road, because of that, if the seat was better, I feel like I would have gave it a higher rating, but I don't really like it off-road. I mean, it's gonna do it if you just need to get through somewhere, but yeah, this is like it's like a 6 out of 10, maybe even like a 5.5 out of 10. The cafe racer style e-bikes that have like the longer seats and they're more comfortable, even without suspension, those just absorb so much, and this just doesn't do anything. This thing turns fantastic. Even though it has big tires on it, it feels great to turn. It's a very light bike at 65 pounds roughly, so it's like, this is nothing. This feels great. If you need to get out of any like sticky situation or something like that, I think it'd be perfectly fine to like make like some like quick move, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's nice. Like, look, check this out. So I'm gonna go from this sidewalk to the next sidewalk, no problems at all. That was nice. All right, so the next thing we gotta do is a brake test. I'm going as fast as I can. 28.2 miles an hour is what it says on here. I'm gonna stop right at this little section right here, and we're gonna slam on and see what happens. 1, 2, 3, go. Oh yeah, woo. I knew we slid on that one. You can see where we started at, so I stopped right there. That's not bad. That's about 2.5 bike lengths down. I know it looks farther on the GoPro because it's super wide angle, but trust me, that's about 2.5 bikes. Not too bad. Now, I did slide a lot. Let's see if we messed up our tires. Oh, no, we did it. Not really. So that's not too bad. Most of these bikes that I've been on, if you slam on them, it will literally just get rid of this completely. So that's why I don't do burnouts on these bikes. I don't do anything stupid. You really don't want to ruin these tires, even though they're not the best and they're not like the most expensive. It's just a pain in the ass to change out your tire and stuff like that. You know, taking off the quick disconnect, which I'll show you guys real quick because I didn't show you guys that yet. So this motor right here has a quick disconnect for the Bafang motor, and it's right there. So it's very simple to do. You're gonna take this zip tie off, this zip tie off. You're gonna take this nut off. You're gonna take the chain and just kind of slap it on this side, take the other nut off, and you can just slide this whole wheel out. Another thing is you don't have fenders in the way, so it's not too bad. That's another downside of this bike I didn't mention already. I wish it did have fenders, especially if you're gonna ride it where it's like raining or muddy or dirt or anything like that, so it doesn't splash up on your back. It does have the mounting spots for it, so I don't know if the website has them or not, because you do have these little things right here. You also have the bracket right there, so this will hold the fender from the back. And then you also have these up top, and then you have this right here, so you should be able to put some type of fender on there. The only thing you got to worry about, like I said earlier in the video, is you need to find out a solution for a brake light. So maybe attach something right here and get rid of the reflector if you're going to ride at night. Now, some other things you got to know on this bike before I do the throttle test and the pedal test to see how like responsive it is. You do have a preload on this side, so you can adjust this however you want. And then you also have a lockout. So if I do this all the way, look at that, like it's not going down at all. But if I switch it to this side, then it moves back and forth. So I like having suspension on my bike, but depending on how you're riding and stuff like that, you might want to lock it out for whatever reason. So you do have those adjustments up front. So now let's see how active this throttle is. So here we go. So 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. I want to give that almost a full second delay for the throttle. Now, because after you pull it, it takes off so fast, it is a downside that it does take almost a full second for it to activate, because normal throttles are like a little bit more responsive than that. But once it does activate, it definitely does take off, so I got to give them credit for that. So you do have a slight delay, but then the bike makes up for it in power-wise when it takes off. So just something to think about, you know, if you get this bike. Now let's move on to the pedals and see how those are. So 1, 2, 3. Oh, that was a big delay. So 1, 2, 3. Oh man, yeah, so the pedals are about, man, let's count that. I'm gonna start right now. 1, 2, 3. So almost a 3-second delay for the pedals to like activate when you start pedaling. So it's a kind of a late delay. The worst I've had on bikes is like 5 to 6 seconds. And the best that I've had has been like half a second, which I think was a Traxxas Explorer e-bike, but that was a very expensive e-bike, like over $2,000. You got to keep in mind, this is $1,000, roughly a little bit over that. So, you know, you're getting what you pay for, basically. So I've been noticing as I've been riding this bike that it has a battery gauge, but it's like a fuel gauge. So it has an F on the top for full, and then it has an E at the bottom for empty, kind of like a car does. And I've noticed it goes off a voltage sag. So right now we have full bars, and if you guys can see that, when I hit it, it goes down a bar, and then when I stay on it for a while, it goes down another bar. So it's saying that right now we're down 2 battery bars, we're down to 3 out of the 5. But then when I let off, it goes right back up to full. I'm not a big fan of that. I wish there was a way to change that to voltage. So, I mean, just take it with a grain of salt, you know, kind of go off their website speculations of what it says. 25 to 30 miles if you're roughly around 143 pounds. I think I'm gonna estimate my range to be about 20 to 25 miles. I'm gonna be on the 20-mile side. When we do our second video taking it to work, you guys can get a better idea of the range, because we're not gonna do that in today's video. So subscribe to that if you wanna see that video, which we'll do slightly right after this. But I'm liking the bike so far. It's very light. Let's take it off the curb really quick. Oh yeah, wow. It's almost like I bunny hopped off the curb because it's so light, and you got that suspension, the compression going down and coming up, so the front end came up higher than the rear did. Yeah, and it's very stable. I mean, I'm doing 28 miles an hour. I'm standing on the bike and I'm able to lift it up. The tire lands. It's not like, oh my God, I'm like getting like speed wobble. It's nothing like that. Very comfortable and stable at high speeds. I was really expecting this bike to not turn as well as it does with these big fat tires. And I didn't even air them up to 20, which is the max it's supposed to go up to. And I like it. I just feel like there's no body weight to really move around. It's not a heavy bike, so that's kind of working in its advantage right now. All right, now some other things we haven't done yet is I haven't tested out the horn. I'm very curious to see how the horn is. Oh, okay. Now, it is firing back at me. It's not firing frontwards, but that actually sounds pretty loud. I'm surprised. What? I'm pretty sure people in their backyard can definitely hear that. They probably don't know what the hell it is, because it's like an odd sound. That's not bad though. Okay, I'll give it to him. It's a small little headlight, but hey, it's doing wonders with that horn. All right. Props to HIBOY for that. Props to HIBOY. I really wish I knew the newton meters of torque out of this bike, because it feels almost similar to the Rev 1 e-bike that I reviewed before I went 72 volt. It feels very powerful, like honestly. And I almost went down and hit a rock. Right in front of that cop too. Why? Why? All right, so something I haven't looked at yet is the front light, and I want to check that out, but I got to get into some type of like, I don't know, a little dark area. So I'm gonna pull over right here. There's a lot of people in this area. What's going on? All right, so dedicated headlight button, so you can hit this and turn it on. And I've actually had this headlight on another bike, and I don't remember if it was good or not. It was a while since I got it. But 4 little LEDs. It looks decently bright. I like the fact that it looks white. It doesn't look like yellowish. So I'm, you know, hyped to see how it's gonna look at night when we take it to work. Again, subscribe if you wanna see that video. We'll do this shortly after. But right now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go back to the house. I'm gonna give you my final thoughts on it, of what I feel about it and the price wise, and see if it's worth it. So I'll see you guys back at the house with the DSLR camera. All right, so final conclusion on the HIBOY P6. Now, I don't feel like the price is very high for what you get. Now, there are some cheap components on it, like the grips, I am not a big fan of. This half twist throttle, you might like it, you might not like it. I'm not a big fan. It is very cheap as well. I do like the shifter. The shifter is very nice and smooth, like probably one of the best that I've felt, even though it isn't a very high-end one, but it just works for this bike. The big fat tires are a nice touch, but these tires can get you a flat when riding it, you know, in like certain areas, especially if you're riding the bike lane a lot where all the debris gets swept up to. So just be careful with that. Maybe carry some slime or put some slime in these tires, because, you know, getting these tires are gonna be expensive because they're so big that you might wanna just keep these tires, put slime in them, and be good with that. The front headlight is very good. You can take these reflectors off if you want. The display is fine. I don't have an issue with the display. It's small, but I mean, it does what you need to do. I like the dedicated buttons. The horn was actually better than I thought it was gonna be. Some things that you might want to do on this bike though, if you do get it and you're gonna ride it like your daily commute back and forth to work, especially if you're gonna ride it at night, you have to figure out a rear brake light situation, because a reflector is just not gonna cut it. You're gonna want some type of rear light because you wanna be safe on the road. Another thing is, this seat is not comfortable to me, so you might wanna spend some money, 30, 40 bucks or something. Get a very nice seat, especially if you're gonna be riding this for long periods of time. Because if you can get like 60 miles of range of what they claim on the lowest pedal assist, then you're gonna be riding for some time. So you're definitely gonna want a comfortable seat. The biggest thing that surprised me about this bike overall is the motor. This motor is so fast. This feels like a $2,000 e-bike roughly for the power that it has. I'm actually loving this motor. I knew I was gonna kind of like it because Bafang motors are very powerful for what they are. The brakes are fine. They feel mushy when using them because they're not hydraulic brakes, but at the same time they work for this bike. It doesn't go that fast. I would love to always see hydraulic brakes. They just feel so much better in the hands, but these are what they are. That's what they came on the bike. That's kind of why the price is so low. But they stopped the bike, it's not a 35, 40 mile an hour bike, so it does what it needs to do. And some other stuff I didn't even mention thinking about it is you do have a quick disconnect up front for the front wheel. So all you have to do is quick release it, and then you can just pop off the front. So if you do get a flat tire in the front, it's gonna be very easy to change. I like that, especially if you're gonna throw it in your car too. A quick release is kind of nice, so you don't have to have an actual socket with you or a wrench to take off the front wheel. Some other stuff you can do on this bike as well is you can move this pretty high, so that's pretty much as high as it's gonna go. I don't know who would sit on the bike being that high, but then you can also go very, very low as well if you want. And then the battery is also removable, so you come in here and you can pop this off if you want. And this is how it looks with the battery off. So you can take this in your house and go charge it. It also has an indicator right here on the battery. So you just hit this little button and it will tell you your battery percentage if you do have it in the house and you don't know where it's at when you're like charging it. So it lights up green if it's in the middle, red if it's on the end, and then blue if it's fully charged. So that's pretty cool. The only thing that was a big downside is I'm not a big fan of all the stickers they put on this bike, but you could just peel those off like one time, take you a few hours, I think, because there's so many. Oh, there we go, there we go. All right, I didn't know how that battery went in. So the top goes in first and the bottom pops out. And I think that's pretty much it. I think we went over everything on this bike of what I liked and disliked about it. And I can highly recommend this bike. And I know I've been recommending a lot of bikes lately, and that's not because I'm trying to make commission and make all this money possible. I literally tell you if the bike is crap or not. But after watching David Brand New's video and he said it was very positive, I was very excited to do it. Because he did another video on HIBOY and said it wasn't very good, and I did not want that bike. So if there is another bike on the website though that you do want because you don't like this one in particular, they do have a bunch of different models on their website. My coupon code will work for any one of their bikes on the website, so just keep that in mind if you want to buy any type of bike from HIBOY. But I kind of recommend this one. Just get a new seat and a tail light and then you're good to go. So I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out, and we'll take this thing to work in the next video. Later.